Hello friends and new friends, welcome back to another crochet video on YouTube with me. My name is Garnet. In this video we're going to be making an infinity scarf with a hood to it. The yarn that I have chosen this time is Parfait Layers. It's by Premier, and you want to talk about super soft. I encourage you, when you are at the grocery store, the fabric store or the craft store, wherever you're at, to take this and rub it across your cheek. It feels super soft and you're going to say, oh, I gotta have this around my neck. You will love this. It comes in 459 yards. It is a 5 in the bulky, and this cake is nice and tight. So it's about the size of a Super Saver skein, but it's made by Premier, and I'm telling you right now, you're gonna love it. So besides all my bragging about the softness, we also are going to need a tapestry needle, and the hook that I'm using is a size 9mm or an M13, and a pair of scissors. Now, using a cake, I like to pull my yarn from the center. If you choose, you can pull it from the outside. You just need to remove the band. Okay? So, let's get started. I would like for you to leave a tail of approximately 10 to 12 inches, and I'll tell you the reason is because we're going to be doing a lot of chains. We're going to be doing something a little bit different because of the fluffiness of this yarn when we join the chain. So let's go ahead and start with a slip knot on our hook, not our finger, and we're going to start to chain 160. So you want your chains to be somewhat loose, not real loose. So let's begin. 1, 2, 3, 4. I don't want to bore you with what I do, so go ahead and let's get up to 160. Pause your video and I'll meet you there. After you make your 160 chains, you'll notice that it is forever long. I am not going to encourage you to try and find it. The reason being is because as much fluff that is in here, it's going to be so easy to possibly twist your chain. So our tail at the end is going to be where we are going to join into that first chain and the last chain stitch here. But we're going to go ahead and do our first row, so that way we know it's 100% straight. Okay, and let's see, I twisted this somehow. Okay, so in the second chain from your hook, we do not count the one on our hook. So here's one. We're going to go into our second one. I would like for you to place a half double crochet. And we're going to be doing half double crochets this first row all the way down to the very first one. Okay? I have tried it. If you start the pattern exactly on the first row, because of the softness of this yarn, it seems not to do very good. So this first row, 1 half double crochet in each stitch till you get all the way to the end. I'll meet you there. Pause your video, and you might want to turn on some music and watch another YouTube video as you're doing your work, and I'll see you then. I hope that you took this, and I want to show you how it is so soft. Oh my gosh, I love the feel of this. Anyway, I've completed all of my half double crochets. Now, I think you saw as we were doing the chain how it kind of twisted on you, and it was kind of hard to see exactly where the chain was, and so that was the reason why I suggested, instead of jumping into the pattern, let's do our first row. Okay, now that we've gotten to the end of our first row, we need to join them to make into a circle, and this is where our little tails right here at our chain is going to come into play. So let's take our infinity scarf and make it so that there's no twists. So let's just go carefully around. You can see how mine is twisted here from it being in my lap. So we want to make sure that it stays nice and flat. Okay, now this is my back side, and I have my front side up here. So when I get to the end, I'm going to twist it back over like so, and this will make it so that it will be the correct around. Okay, so if you want to double check to make sure, let's take the end and carefully go all the way around, or to the halfway point. Okay, so far so good. Okay, that's how you can double check to make sure. Alright, so now that we don't want to twist it, let's lay it in front of us and make your little loop for your last stitch just a little bit longer. I also noticed that this stuff twists a lot. I didn't have a problem untwisting it, but it lays nice and flat, so I am not complaining about it. Besides that, the softness won me over. So now to thread our tapestry needle, I always bring it up and use the fold and then go through the eye of the needle, because if you use the end, sometimes it has a tendency to fray. So I'm going to take this, the end of our first chain, and I'm going to join it right here to where this half double crochet is in the first stitch, but I'm going to use that chain that we skipped as well as part of my locking. So I'm going to do a little whip stitch here, so I'm going to go back here, and then I'm going to go to the one that I'm trying to join, okay, and stretch the stitch just a little bit so it looks the same length as the chain that we already have. So I'm going to make mine just a little bit longer here. There we go. And so do that a couple of times. Go in and come up. I mean, it's not going to fall apart when we put our next stitch in, but you don't want your end piece to come out. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in. Now this is where we do our weaving process. So here's the back side, and you'll notice the bottom of our loops, or the bottom of the stitch, right here next to our chains. So I am going to go into those bottom loops, and I'm going to cover about 6 stitches. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Okay, I'm going to pull that needle through, and oops, almost lost my yarn. Okay, and then bring it all the way to the end, Now when you do that, give it a little snug so it can ease in. Now this is where we're going to weave a little bit. You have the 2 loops here from the stitch. You want to go over the top of that one and under, and then we're going to go back about 4 stitches. Alright, oops, here, let me drop down a little. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. So now we're going to pull it through. Okay, because going over the top of that one is going to keep it from pulling out what we put in. Okay, so now here we have our 2 stitches again. Now go over the top of that one and under the bottom. We're going to come back here. Okay, and then we're going to do it again. There we go. And that will hold it in place. We've done it 4 times, so we know that there's no chance of it coming out. Alright, so pull on it, and you can't really even see it. Alright? So, what we're going to do next will be the same thing that we do to every row. We're going to slip stitch into the top of the chain, of the stitch itself, not into the chain, but into the top of the first stitch here. So we're going to slip stitch here, okay, and we're going to chain 1. So in this stitch here, when we do finish our second row, we will be going right straight into the top, and this will be a half double crochet. Okay, so we will start or slip stitch into this at the end of this row. Okay, and then in the same stitch we're going to place a double crochet. Oops, see the little twists in the yarn, but it's so soft it changes my mind. Okay, and then chain 1. Okay, so we're going to skip 1 stitch and 2 stitch, and in the 3rd stitch we're going to place a single crochet, and in that same stitch I'm going to slide it over just a little, a half double crochet, a double crochet, and a chain 1. Okay, so this is our repeat stitch. The first stitch that we do here will be at the beginning of every row, and our stitch, our pattern stitch, is right here, single crochet, half double crochet, double crochet, chain 1. Okay, let's move on. We're going to skip 2 stitches. In the 3rd stitch, single crochet, half double crochet, and double crochet. Okay, see what I'm doing is I'm pulling from my yarn, and I'm not doing what I ask you to do. Pull out some of your yarns. You're not doing like me. Okay, and after we do our double crochet, we chain 1. Okay, so let's do our pattern again. Skip 2 stitches. In the 3rd stitch, single crochet, half double crochet, double crochet, chain 1. Skip 2 stitches. In the 3rd stitch, repeat. Alright, and this is what we have so far. Nice pretty little shell looking stitch. Let me finish this one we're doing here. So after that single crochet, half double crochet, double crochet, chain 1. Alright, so continue, whoops, let me lower it down, continue all the way around until you get to the end of your row here. And for those that get ahead of me, you slip stitch into the chain one, not the chain one, the top of the half double crochet, then you chain one and you do the half double crochet, chain one, okay? And the next row is going to be a little bit different. That chain one's there for a reason. So I'll meet you at the end of the row. Go ahead and pause your video. I like to make a suggestion that as you do this to help keep your patience and not get frustrated, turn on a video on YouTube that you might want to watch, like a movie or some music, something that is of interest. You'll find that this will go by a lot quicker. And since our pattern is a super simple one, you'll find it to be very relaxing. So, like I said, pause my video, open up a new page, and I'll see you at the end of the row. I bet you're still rubbing this stuff against your face, aren't you? Or your neck. It is just so soft. I love it. Anyway, I'm at the end of our first row of our pattern, basically row 2. You'll notice here that I have 2 stitches left before the shell starts again. So, being at the end, we want to go right here to our half double crochet. We're going to place a slip stitch in there. Okay, chain one. Now what we're going to do here for this next row is what we're going to be doing for the next 10 rows. So we will have a total of 11 rows of our pattern, as well as our half double, and then we'll go on to finishing up for our hood and whatnot. So we slip stitch, chain one. Now in the same stitch, half double crochet and a double crochet. Oh, and I was just thinking about something here. If you like this color that I have here, the name of it, unfortunately I do not see a name, okay? Oh, here it is. It's called Sweet and Spicy. So the color number is 1070-03. Sweet and Spicy. Okay, so moving on to our next shell placement in our chain one space. Where my finger is coming through here. Place your single crochet. I bet you said you knew that, didn't you? Okay, our half double crochet, our double crochet, and chain one. Alright, so I wanted to let you know something else too. When we get here to the end of the row, because of this right here, we're going to do something a little bit different. So as you go around, don't jump into this and then go on to the next row. I'll show you what to do. Okay, so let's continue on here. We built up, we went to our chain one space, we placed our pattern, single crochet, half double crochet, chain one. Let's move on to our next one. Single crochet in our chain one space. See, so we're going to be doing the same thing all the way around. This is a very simple and quick pattern, and I hope you love it. You could possibly use it even for a blanket if you wanted to, but I don't think it would go around. You'd have to make it flat. Okay, so as you can tell, thanks to my color change, this is what we will have. So continue around. When you get to the end of the row, restart the video and I'll show you how to finish this right here. So pause your video, continue watching your movie or listen to your music, and I'll be back with you in just a few. I am at the end of the row, so we will join each row for the rest of this pattern as this. We will skip over all of this, skip over that, and in that first half double crochet stitch, the top of it, tighten up your chain stitch just a little bit in case you did like I did and loosened it. We're going to do a slip stitch, chain one, and as before in the same stitch, half double crochet, double crochet, chain one, and in our next chain one space, as we've done before, single crochet, half double crochet, double crochet, and chain one. So this starts our third row of our pattern. I would like for you to complete 11 rows of our pattern. So our first row, our second row, our third row. So complete 11 rows and I will meet you there. And don't forget to end. You'll also notice too that our each row is going to slant over. That's alright. It's okay. So set up a good movie, get yourself something to drink, and I notice that these rows do go pretty quick. So I'll see you in a short period of time. Pause your video and I'll see you then. I wanted to show you that as I pull the yarn from my cakes, I turn it on its side. I find that it comes out easier and not pulling. So I hope that's a useful and helpful tip for you. Also, I'm on row 7 and I'm back to my color gray where I started at. So keep on going. We're going to do 11 rows and I'll see you when you get there. So I have done my rows, nice pretty colors, been rubbing it on my cheeks. I love the softness. So after watching one movie and half of another, I have finally completed these rows. Now to make the hood part, we're going to keep it simple. So we've slip stitched into the beginning of the row. So take your chain and make it a little bit longer. Let's pull your hook out. Okay, now this is the right side. So let's bring the two right sides together. So that we have our little scallops lined up. Let me move my yarn out. Okay, so I'm going to put my hook back in and tighten my chain loop up. Now if you count down 7 of these little scallops here, I'm going to move my hook again. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. This will be plenty enough to cover the back of your head and down some onto your neck. Stretch it out here. If you want it shorter, I encourage you to put this on the top of your head and measure down to the back of your neck or where your hairline stops on the back of your head. So let's continue on. I hope you are enjoying this little project. I am really having a good time. So now you're not going to hit every single solitary stitch, but what I'd like for you to do is to try and hit the stitches that are with the scallops. So I just folded it over. I know I have a little opening here, but that's quite all right. And then I'm just going to pull it through and create a loose slip stitch. Now I'm going to go down. I might skip one, or I might hit the next one. Make sure you don't hit the same stitch on the back side, and just do another slip stitch, and remember to make your loose tongue twister there, make your loop loose. So I'm going to hit another one here, pick up another stitch. Okay, so continue that until you hit the 7th scallop down here, and then I'll show you what's next. So after you get down to the end, open your scarf up so that the right side is facing you. We're going to continue on making half double crochets along this edge to finish it off. So the first stitch you'll want to do is place it into the single crochet. The second one will be in the half double crochet. This is of the scallop. The third one will be into that double crochet. Skip your chain 1 and half double crochet in the 3 stitches again. So we did the single crochet, now the half double crochet, and the double crochet. Continue with this all the way around till you get to the other side, and I'll show you how to finish there. As you can see here, I'm coming up to where we did the slip stitch to create our hood. Here is the beginning of our half double crochets for this last row. So I've done my 3, and now right here I'm going to do a slip stitch. Okay, and I'm going to do one more to kind of go across to help hold that seam closed. Then I would like for you to leave a little tail so that we can weave this end in and pull it through. Now I've shown you how to do some weaving before, so you'll be doing the same process here. I wanted to show you what mine looks like. So I'm going to bring my right side out, and so here's where I did my seam, and here's the rest of the infinity scarf. And our hoodie. Okay, so at this point we are basically done, but I have an optional to add if you're interested. I wanted to also show you that I do have this much left from my skein, but I have another skein that I purchased, and I'll be starting with the gray because I want to keep the gray. So if you want to use the same color that you have here, you might have to purchase a second skein, or if you just want to use what's left and the next color, you can do that as well. So where we're going to start at will be right across where we ended, where the hood is. We're going to go straight across on both sides, and so we're going to add to this right here. I'm going to grab my other skein or my cake, and let's begin. So with our right sides up, I want to get to the end of where our hoodie is at, and I'm going to come straight across here, and this will be my beginning. Since I'm right-handed, I will be going in this direction. That means I need to twist it around, and I'm going to place my hook right here while I go ahead and pull out from my new skein the gray. I'm going to place a slip knot on it, and then we're going to begin. During the filming of my GoPro videos, I had a glitch, and so I lost audio. So I'm going to try this and see how it works, and I will talk you through as I go along. We have come to where we're going to place our next row, which is double crochets, and we are at the point of where our first one will go in. We are going to make a standing double crochet, and it'll go into that one space. So with your loop on your hook, place your finger on top of your loop and yarn over, insert your hook into the hole and draw up a loop and complete a double crochet. You have now completed your first standing double crochet. Now if you want to make things a lot easier, you can take your tail and bring it across, and we are going to do double crochets in each stitch around till you get to the other side of where the same spot as where we stopped our hood using the slip stitch. So continue around, and I'll meet you at the other side. You'll see that here I've stopped and started in the same spot at the bottom of the hood. So you want to cut with a 10-inch tail or so and use that for weaving in. Go ahead and bring that loop and tail through and tighten your loop up. And on the back, on the inside, I use the center of the double crochets along that chain stitch to where I will weave in. I've already shown you how to do weavings, so I will not show you at this time. Next thing we want to do is add a chain that will go around to help tighten this in case of windy days. So we want to start with a short tail. We will use that as part of our tassel, and place a slip knot on the hook. You're going to go ahead and make chains that will be long enough for the length of the hood, as well as including 8 inches for each side of the channel that we're going to be placing or weaving the chain in and out of. So go ahead and start making your chains. They do not need to be loose, but you don't want them too tight either. So go ahead and make it the length that you need, and I'll see you when you get done. You'll see here that I have created a chain that is long enough, and I have about 8 inches on each side. And when you get to the end, I'm going to cut a little tail and pull it through. The next thing that we will be doing is weaving it in between our double crochet stitches. And I usually use my needle, but you can also use your hook. To me, I have found that the needle is a lot more easier. You can go ahead and do it as I'm showing you here. And I am so sorry that I lost my audio with my GoPro, because it's so much easier to talk as you go along. So you go ahead and you weave it in and out, find the halfway point, and you'll see how nice it looks. I went back to the original cake after I used just that little bit of gray. So now I'm back to my original cake, which was my first one. And now I'm going to make tassels. You want to cut them to 14 inches long. I know my video doesn't show it very well. The bad thing about a GoPro is that you don't have the wide angle lens. So cut them 14 inches long, and you'll want to cut 6 of them. Here you can see my original cake up here. So here, 14 inches, and I'm folding it. It's so hard to talk into a video, so I'm so sorry. There's no way to retrieve the audio either, and it's kind of frustrating. But we want 6 tassels, and you'll notice that it will twist, but we can untwist it. Or 6 strands for the tassel. So after you go ahead and cut the length that we need, you want to cut the folded ends so that you can take the twist out of the strands needed to make each of these tassels. We're only going to make 2, so you're going to see this is going to be pretty easy to make. Okay, so I took the twist out, and I'm going to stop the video right there. Okay, let's move on. I added some extra colors to it because I thought it would look nicer just to have a couple of them in there. So what we're going to do here is you're going to take your tail from your chain and find half on your tassels. Go ahead and bring it up and bring your chain to the top of that folded of the yarn for your tassel, and then place in just an overhand knot. And what it'll do, you need to tighten it. It is very cumbersome, but it can be done. It just takes a few minutes. And you want to keep your chain stitch as close to the top of all that folded yarn as possible, so that way your little tie-on does not look like it's not connected properly. So after you get it on there and it is good and snug, you're going to take your folded amount of yarn and bring the tail down just a little bit and create an L. As you wrap it around the bulk of the yarn, you want to bring the tail back through that L, that little loop that you created, and you want to snug it up. The distance between the end of the tassel and where that loop is about 1 inch. So now you'll notice that you want to wrap backwards. I'm placing my finger in there so I can find that loop easier. Go ahead and pull that through. Sometimes working with this super soft yarn that is so nice is really hard to work with. Then you go ahead and just snug it up, and then take the end of that tail and just make it part of the tassel. And you have a nice little tassel there. You want to cut it to a length. Well, let me move on to the next video. I've made a second one, and you want them to be both the same length. And I hope you enjoy your the look of the tassels for this infinity scarf. Oh my gosh, here it's me. Yes, I'm wearing the scarf. I love this thing. The main reason why I added the tassels was I've had scarves before. When the wind blows, it just makes it so that it doesn't stay on. So I thought that by adding this one little tie-on will help it in case of windy days or something. I hope you like my backdrop. And I hope you enjoyed this video. I really appreciate you watching the video. I appreciate you coming by and participating with me. I am planning for this particular video to make a beanie and fingerless gloves. So I do hope that you come back to join me for another crochet video, and I hope you share your look of your new scarf with me. Thank you so much for being with me. Bye-bye.